Hey Bree, so I finally got around to recording this for you. I'm sat in my studio so I don't actually forget anything. But you're asking me about like what you need for gaming, streaming, that sort of thing. I'm going to show you what I've got and kind of explain why I've got it and maybe take you through a few cheaper or more expensive alternatives depending on where you want to go. So, first of all, I know this might seem really silly. I'm just going to... I can't spin the camera around. Okay. Okay, so first of all, you're going to need at least 2 monitors, okay? Doesn't matter if the sizes are different. Mine's a 27 and a 24 size-wise. I have a Razer Raptor for my main monitor, which is because it's got a really good high quality, it's got a good refresh rate, which will basically mean that sometimes when you're trying to do things quickly on games and you have a cheaper monitor, you'll get something that's called screen tearing. And that's basically because the monitor can't keep up with the computer. And it means that basically you'll only see it very, very faintly, but the image will kind of splint a little bit and like it's been sliced through. And it can help lose like maybe a couple of microseconds or something on your sorry, the cats are trying to get in. On like aiming down the sights and things like that. Not major, but useful if you can afford it. So keyboard and mouse wise, if you're going to use a controller, the keyboard and mouse probably is a little bit irrelevant. If you want to get used to using a keyboard and mouse, then I would definitely recommend a Razer Huntsman V2 analog. The reason being is the keys are actually pressure sensitive, which means that if I press them in a little bit, then it'll register that I've pressed them in a tiny bit and move something a tiny bit forward, and then I can depress it all the way down and it'll be at full speed. So it's kind of like it kind of simulates the joystick on a controller in a way. So mouse-wise, if you're going to go with a mouse, you need something that's, I'd say, at least 5,000 DPI, which means that you can adjust the sensitivity and the speed of how quickly the mouse moves. Other peripheral-wise, before I move on, I have... I have 2 what's called Stream Decks, and these, basically, you can't see this one because it's froze. Let me just see if I can unfreeze it. So basically with this little bit of software here, I can add functions to my Stream Deck when I want it to do things in stream. So if it's actually not going to work. Useful. But you can see here I've got like recording tools, live tools, so on my little one that's got the little knobs and the dials and things, whenever I'm recording, I can switch between scenes on OBS. I can start and stop record. I've got a heart rate monitor for some of the scarier stuff as well, which this all hooks into my Apple Watch and reads my heart rate from my Apple Watch. And then I can show that on screen if I wanted to. All of these are volume controls for the various different aspects, and this is the system volume. I can mute, unmute, whatever. So that's like the peripheral stuff. Another big thing when it comes to streaming and recording, obviously, is the camera. So I'm really lucky that I can borrow my dad's camera. It's an 80D EOS. It's actually a full-fledged DSR. A really good alternative to that'll cost around £200 is a Razer Kiyo Pro 4K. So it's a webcam, but it has like near DSLR quality, so you'll be spending a lot less money because this camera was around £1,000, which ideally you probably don't want to be spending until like you're sure you can get into it. My studio lights were really cheap. They're just USB ones. They plug into the computer. They were 15 quid on Amazon. There's 2 of them because with lighting, you need to have a main light and an offset light as well so that you can control the shadow on both sides of your face for when you're streaming as well. So that brings us to like the main event. So my PC here is, so I've got an i9 which is all liquid cooled, which really helps with keeping everything cool in there. Your biggest thing that you're going to need to focus on when you're building a PC is, I would say, build it around the graphics card that you want. You need at least an RTX 3000 to be able to run COD, and then anything higher or above that is just a bonus. Your RTX 4000s are the ones that are in the best range that you can get at the moment, but they're also in the highest price range as well. You'll easily pay £800 to £900 for a 4000, whereas if you go for one of the 3000s, then that brings that down to, I'd say, anywhere between £200 and £600. So you can save a little bit of money there. RAM wise, I have the one stick in there and it's 32 gig. There's loads of different options for RAM these days, and ignore all the other numbers and focus on the size. So this is the bit that has the GB after it, so 32 gig, 64 gig or whatever. Those are the numbers you need to be focusing on, because to be honest, everyone says that clock speed makes a difference. No, it doesn't. Not really. Not unless you're doing anything particularly heavy. It starts making a difference when you start doing some serious video rendering. But otherwise, focus on the size, not the speed. Mine's a 32 gig. I'd recommend at least 16. RAM's relatively cheap these days, so you should be able to get that pretty cheap. Hard drive, definitely go for a solid state drive because it'll read a lot quicker, and that will definitely help with your game loading times and things like that. I actually have an SSD for one of them and a mechanical as the other one. So the mechanical is just I can store stuff on that I don't need to access quickly, and then anything for gaming goes on the solid state drive, so it's quicker to access. I just do it that way. The board in there is an MSI board. It's actually a micro board. Micro boards will allow for smaller cases, but you will sacrifice a little bit of quality, so it depends how you want your setup to look externally as well. If you want a smaller case, go for a micro. If you're not that bothered about how much space your PC is taking up, then go for a full board. It is a bit of a minefield building PCs these days. Even I don't know everything. But those are probably the key things that you need to focus on. And then if you go to somewhere that sells these components and basically say, right, I want to build a PC around an RTX 3080 or something like that, they'll probably be able to help you out. When it comes to processor, I've got an Intel Core i9, which is top of the scale performance wise, best you can get. You don't have to have an i9. It doesn't have to be that. In fact, a really, really good alternative to the i9 if you're trying to save a bit of money is the AMD Ryzen. You'll need at least a 7000 if you want to do streaming and gaming at the same time. And microphone, I believe you've got a Blue Yeti, which, hey, I've got exactly the same one, so that's a good shout. I've got the foam guard and the pop filter as well, which does improve the sound quality. Those are the settings that I have on my mic on the back, which is what I was talking about the other day when I said about being able to hear stuff in the background. So the gain's just past halfway, and it needs to be on this little setting here that looks like a little cloud, and that will help. I also have a shock mount as well, so if I bang on my desk or knock my thing, it's not going to go into my mic and put any sound into that mic. And finally, sound-wise, I've got Razer Kraken Kitty headphones that are 7.1 surround sound. So 7.1 for COD is pretty essential to be able to hear where people are coming from. So my PC cost something in the region of 1,500. All the little extras I've kind of put together over the years, just little bit by bit. Some of it is work kit as well, that they give me for my job that I just tack on, that they don't mind me using for streaming. So, and I do know that I have another camera there that I showed you, but that's actually my work one. It's never actually hooked up to my main computer. But 2 cameras is an option. A lot of streamers do it. I don't personally. I don't feel the need. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you've got something useful out of that. If not, or you're confused about anything, or you need me to slow down and maybe explain something individually, then just drop me a message back and I'm sure I can help. Good luck.